ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Sports fans from all around the globe, I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for Tea Time Wages with good friend and colleague, Mr. Brady Kannon. Go follow him at Las Vegas Golfer, and of course, make sure you check him out throughout the weekend on the Sports Grid. This week's headline is it Rory's turn at the TRUIST Championship? And the reason I said that, it's kind of been the year of Rory. And then when is Scotty going to return? Well, Scotty said, hold my beer last weekend, and boy, did he return, as this is a signature event, and next week, the second major at Quail Hollow at the PGA Championship, and a lot to talk about. And I'll finish with this. Brady's true thorn in his side, and I know this feeling. Just when you're on them, they can't close. When you're not on them, geez, I'm talking about Mr. DeChambeau, of course. And it just, I have those same, whether it's a team in college, a baseball team, I know that feeling, so I want to talk to him, of course, about that. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Travis Guide, Zach, myself, Amber Hawley, Carol Bucks, Ali, Matt. The list is endless. Come on board. I guarantee you, you'll have a great time. AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, chops, seafood, appetizers, wine, 4 set them and forget them subscription plans. Every 30 days, have a box of protein delivered right to your front door. The only thing that you'll need is a spare propane tank. So without further ado, Mr. Brady Kannon.
How are you? Good to be with you, my friend. So yeah, you had to bring up Mr. DeChambeau, didn't you? Gosh, but you're spot on. You know, I guess I'm not the only one paying attention. Of course, I was on him at Doral the week before the Masters. He goes into the final round in the lead, shoots 75, gives it away. I think it was Mark Leishman or something like that ended up winning. Goes into Sunday at the Masters in the final pairing and shoots 75 again. I wasn't on him, thank goodness. And then he goes to Live Mexico City, and we were on him again. And once again, he's in the final pairing on Sunday with the lead, shoots even par, blows it, and Joaquin Niemann gets the victory. Then for the 4th Sunday in a row, he's in the final pairing. And of course, this time I'm like, I've had enough of this guy. He can't seem to close. And sure enough, he gets it home and figures out a way to win. And we were close. We had Dean Burmester. He kept taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And John Rahm was kind of right there at the end, but God, shot like even par or something on the first day. So we never quite got out of the gate with him. But yeah, that was, we've been so close on the LIV circuit. I guess the last 3 events, and yeah, you're right, Bryson. Furthering my disdain for him, DeChambeau. So I don't think I'll be on him next week at the PGA. even though, of course, he's absolutely a contender. You may have seen my article come out. We do have 4 early plays for the PGA, and I'll probably add, maybe a couple more, but bets that I started making back in January. Ludwig Oberg, after he won at Torrey Pines, Jason Day, Xander Schauffele, and then Joaquin Niemann, who, after he took over Bryson at Chapultepec in Mexico, I bet him. There's been, I guess it's now 7 events, but at the time, it was after Mexico. It was 6 events that have been played on the LIV circuit this year, and Niemann's won half of them. He's won 3. So I couldn't really ignore it any longer. He hasn't done great in major championships, but I think the PGA might be the best one for his game. So we'll see. Those are the 4 guys I'm on early. I think there's a lot of connection. Of course, the statistic of total driving, which is a combination of length and accuracy. Invaluable, skill set to have in your bag. Scotty Scheffler, one of the best at total driving. McIlroy, Ludwig Oberg, being able to hit it long and straight. And I have felt that is no more important than at Quail Hollow and Torrey Pines. I think those are my 2 number 1 golf courses on the PGA Tour where total driving is one of the most important skill sets to have as far as translating into success at those 2 golf courses. So when Oberg won, I said, okay, bang, I'm going to jump on him for Quail Hollow. And it's a similar thought process with Jason Day, who's won at Quail Hollow before and also won twice at Torrey Pines. And by the way, both Oberg and Day just finished top 10 at the Masters, which is another trend that we've seen, and it happened last year at the PGA. Xander Schauffele finishes top 10 at the Masters, wins the PGA. Since the PGA moved to May, guys that have finished top 10 at the Masters, the major, of course, that has been played 1 month before, have had a great deal of success going forward to the PGA. So I like the fact that Day and Oberg both were really good at Augusta not that long ago. And then, Rory, you talked, is it Rory's turn? Yeah, I mean, so far it's been the year of Rory, but there's going to be so much attention on him next week because he completes the career Grand Slam. And now he's going to a golf course where he's won 4 times previously. They've been playing the Wells Fargo Championship since 2003 on the PGA Tour. Rory has won it 4 times, but the last 2 years, it's been a signature event at Quail Hollow for the Wells Fargo prior to the PGA. And who's finished runner-up those last 2 years? Xander Schauffele. And I also think there's a connection between Valhalla and Quail Hollow, where, of course, Xander won the PGA last year. And I think by the time we get there next week, his game might be right there and ready to fire. And I believe he might have been top 10 at Augusta as well. He was awful close. I think, yeah, he was. I think he and Day finished 8th, and Oberg was 7th. And then Niemann got him at 30-1. And again, it was really kind of just based on current form. And I think his game is more built for a PGA. He's a good total driver as well. Really long, average accuracy. He would be top 25 on the PGA Tour as far as where he would rank in terms of total driving. And he's had very good finishes in the past at Torrey Pines and Quail Hollow. So those are my 4 in pocket right now. I'll probably dive in next week and add a couple more, but I'm sure we'll be talking about it when we connect right here next week.
Well, I got a new name for Bryson for us, and it's DeShambles. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
there
not
you go.
so we'll just leave him on the shelf. Before we go talk about Scotty and last weekend, just boxed the wire, just lapped the field. Just crazy how well he played. I am so excited. You know, I'm the number one fan of Rory McIlroy. I talk about that other gear in his bag that I don't think there's anyone on the planet that has. You know, I'm most excited for Brady is that the pressure's off. He has
Yeah.
now completed this. Now he's coming to a course that, as you said, he's won 4 times, and I just want to see with my own eyes, you know, the free and easy Rory McIlroy here, who just won a major, just completed the slam, and now you're gonna play on a course that you've won 4 times. I understand it's a major and the added pressure. I get all that, but I want to see more the mentality, Brady, of Rory. We saw him play in the doubles a couple weeks ago, and he's just sitting back on Saturday, just like you know, he's playing a muni course, just having fun. I just really, you know, he could be lackadaisical, you know, spraying drives here. I get all that, but if we see the Rory that we've seen so far this year, really intriguing story, Brady.
No doubt about it. And I'm maybe not as thrilled for him as you are, but no, I'm definitely. I know you're the number one. You lead the fan club there, and I'm with you. I'm a Rory fan as well. I was thrilled to see him pull it off. I mean, I wrote that story about my 4 early bets for the PGA, and I prefaced it by talking about how the Masters finished up, and it's the best one I've ever seen, Jeff. You know, I've been watching since Jack in '86, and that was obviously remarkable. But I think that's the best Masters finish I've ever seen. It was just and and it fit into place so well with the bets that I had as well, because I had Justin Rose at 110-1, and I was able to hedge, and it was just a beautiful thing in so many different ways. Now, U.S. Open, I think Rory could be really live for that. I worry about the British Open a little bit because it's a home game, and those are not always successful in golf. In fact, the last time they played at Royal Portrush, Rory missed the cut, you know, in his home country of Ireland, and that pressure, especially the Open Championship, that's pretty tough to deal with. In this case here, it almost seems too perfectly set up. Okay, now you've got the career Grand Slam, and now we're going to a place where you know you practically just win by default. But I still believe he's exhaling off of that victory. That's the largest accomplishment in his career to this point, and maybe ever that he'll ever accomplish in his career. And so to step up on that first tee again for the very next major just a month later, you know, he'd probably be a bet against for me, like in the first round. If you've got a head-to-head matchup in the first round against Scheffler or whoever it's going to be against, I'd probably go against him. He may finish okay. He might finish top 20, top 10, top 5. But I think there's going to be, you know, there's going to be, he's going to stub his toe, I believe, for a minute or at some point, because he reached the pinnacle of his career. And so now in that very next big boy tournament, another major, I don't think you can turn it around that quickly and be that focused to go do it again. Now, again, like I say, US Open and going forward, yeah, I think then you're ready to fire again. But this very next one, and it's kind of oddly, I can't think of the right word, but it is, I don't know. It's odd that it's also at a course where he's been so successful, you know, and it just, like I said, it just seems too set up. And you know how it is as bettors. It's like, that looks too good to be true. And so, yeah, I'm not going to be backing him, and I'm not going to necessarily fade him either. Like I said, if I did, it might be a first round matchup or something, but I just don't think he's going to fire the way he has so far in 3 different victories already this season.
And he's got that mentality. How many times have we seen him on Sunday 9-10 back, just aiming at sticks and pins and getting that, 62-63, but had no chance to win the tournament.
Right.
And almost, I think the contrarian play here, Brady, to follow that up would be, and we're not rooting for this, of course, but not to make the cut. A little pizza and
Yeah.
beer there
Yeah.
to say, hey, a little Ovechkin here, a little Masters hangover here at plus 6, 7, 800, whatever they're going to give you, not to make the cut, all could be in play as well.
Absolutely. They're 100%. And I may bet that as well. Like you say, for just some pizza and beer money, because you're going to get what are you going to get? 6, 7 to 1, something like that. You throw $20 on it, no big deal. And by the way, that happened with Mr. Scheffler in 2022 when he won his very first major, his very first Masters. A month later, when they showed up at Southern Hills for the PGA Championship, guess who? Scottie Scheffler missed the cut. And guess who? Our good friend made that bet. Lou Figueiredo. I remember him calling me. He goes, I'm going to bet him to miss the cut in this next major. And it's the same mentality we're kind of talking about. Rory elevates to the peak, the pinnacle, the pedestal. Like I say, the biggest accomplishment he's ever had in his career and may ever have in his career. Pretty tough to turn immediately around just a month later and go at that level again. So yeah, I'd like I say, maybe a first round bet against, maybe a little sprinkle on a miss the cut. Neither of those may come through, but I don't think he's going to win it either.
Well, before we dive into the TRUIST Championship, May 8th through the 11th, the Philadelphia Cricket Club, Pennsylvania, par 70, yardage shorter, a lot shorter than last week, 7,119. Let's give credit where credit is due. We've been asking for weeks here. I've been asking you, where's the real Scotty? We got to give him a little credit. Wow, that was the real Scotty last weekend.
Yeah, that and the tournament felt weird, not only because he ran away with it, but the weather interrupted things. And Scotty was lucky enough to have finished both of his first and second rounds, and didn't get involved in that delay necessarily, where some guys had to, finish up on Friday. I guess there was an early start and then had to finish up on Saturday, so it got very discombobulated, not to take away from what Scotty did, but it felt like no one had a chance. And, early on in that tournament, it also, I think, speaks to that golf course. And it was a little bit disappointing to see how easy it was. And I know this tournament's always been a birdie fest and all that stuff. And I don't mind a birdie fest, but it was almost like, geez, this is too much, guys. But I was glad to see Scotty go out there and take advantage of the situation at hand. And he absolutely, busted the door right down. And like you said, hold my beer. He's like, hey, don't forget about me. No, it was nice to see him really make a statement with what he did there, winning in his home state and all that good stuff. And, we kind of said this, that it was probably, Scotty's price was really prohibitive. He hadn't been playing poorly, certainly, but he hadn't been what we had seen out of Scotty the last couple of seasons. And now he was priced at 3 to 1 or even worse, plus 280 or something like that to win this golf tournament. You're like, gosh, that's really low. But we said it was probably either going to be Scotty or it was going to be some guy that was 80 to 100 to 1. And that's kind of the way the leaderboard was. There was Scotty and then everybody else was 80 to 100 to 1. It just happened to be Scotty. And, it's easy. Hindsight's 2020. Hey, he's the best player in the world. He was clearly the best player in that field. And we've bet on him before, Jeff, with that same mentality at very short prices. And it's been successful. I just didn't know if he was ready to do what he did. And sure enough, he proved us all wrong.
I think last week I did say, hey, if you're looking to scratch an itch and you just want one swing at the apple, you put 2 units on Scotty at plus
Yeah.
300, plus 280, set it and forget it, check back on Sunday. I was thinking of our good friend, Mr. Jeff Sherman. I was going to send him a very ha-ha little tweet or DM and say, did you fat finger the under over and meant to say 32 and a half, not 22 and a half?
You're right. Gosh, no doubt. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Tied an all-time PGA Tour record for the low 72-hole score. 253 was done by Justin Thomas in 2017 at the Sony Open. And it was interesting to see who has also done that. Mr. Ludwig Oberg at the 2023 RSM Classic, his first ever PGA Tour win. All he did was shoot 253 over the course of 4 days. So tells you something about that guy too.
TRUIST Championship, a signature event the week before a major. Correlated courses. What do you see, and how do you see this evolving? Rory, big favorite. I didn't say big favorite, not like Scotty last week, but what do your eyes see?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this course. It's a classic A.W. Tillinghast design, who has designed some of the classic golf courses in history. Baltusrol, course in New Jersey, where they played a number of major championships. Bethpage Black in New York, where they'll play the Ryder Cup, and have already played a handful of majors there. Let's see, what else did he design? Oh, Winged Foot, of course, in New York, which has held major championships before, most recently in 2020. So, just one of those Donald Ross, Alistair McKenzie, A.W. Tillinghast, the classic golf course designers. And he actually liked this one the best of all, apparently. He was a member here, the Philadelphia Cricket Club, the Wissahickon course. And apparently, when he passed away, he asked that his ashes be spread in the creek in this golf course and everything. So this was really a special place to him. We get one of those classic designs, a par 70, with some fescue rough, bent grass fairways, bent grass greens that have multi-tiers and they're elevated, the really dramatic bunkering in the fairways and around the green. So, and not too far, you've got other classics around here. A Donald Ross design in Arana Mink and Marion, where, Justin Rose won the U.S. Open in 2013. So I love going back to this old school stuff. The Country Club, of course, not far from you in Brookline. That type of stuff I think is great to see. And, it's kind of too bad that the governing bodies of golf let technology just, get too carried away, and in a lot of ways has taken some of these old classic golf courses out of play. But here we are, we're going to give it a shot. And the only thing that's a little bit disappointing, Jeff, is they've had some rain in the area, and we're supposed to get some all the way through Friday as well, and no real wind to speak of. So I think they may be able to tear this course up a little bit because of it should be soft and stuff. I would love to see this thing with about a 15, 18 mile an hour breeze and be firm and fast. I think that would be thrilling. Because you could attack it, but you'd also, a big number would be lurking right around the corner. With it being soft and no wind, we may not really get to see how great this course could be. And that's a little bit disappointing, but I'm still excited about seeing it and seeing something different. I love the fact that the tour has gone this direction. It's not a course we've ever seen before. So we're flying a little bit blind here. As far as correlated courses, I used Marion and Arana Mink, which are in the immediate area there. TPC Potomac, which is not too far away. The Country Club at Brookline in your neck of the woods. And then Southern Hills, where they played the PGA in 2022 when Justin Thomas won. Those were what I used as correlated courses. And then I mentioned the other Tillinghast designs as well. I don't think those are very similar as far as setup and whatnot to this golf course we have here. But the fact remains, you have the common denominator of Tillinghast being the designer. Looked at strokes gained approach, strokes gained off the tee. The fairways are pretty average width, 30, 32 yards in that 300-yard neighborhood, which is not especially narrow, but not like last week at TPC Craig Ranch either, where they were very, very wide. Looked at good drives gained. I don't think you have to be incredibly accurate here, but you want to be efficient off the tee. Scrambling will certainly be important. Sand saves, 118 bunkers on this golf course. That's the most these guys have seen at any one course all year long. First time I've used sand saves in my skill sets in a handicap this season. And then hole proximity from 175 to 200 plus. You mentioned just about 7,100 yards here, relatively short, but that yardage is kind of skewed by the fact that there's a couple of par threes that are just like 120 yards long, and the par fives are not especially long, 550 yards or so. But there are some very long par threes and par fours as well. The fact that there's only 2 par fives, that makes that yardage shrink as well. But there are a handful of par fours that are 450 yards or longer. And there are, I think, 2 or 3 par threes that are 200 plus. Actually, 2 par threes that are 215 or longer. So, those are big boy golf holes. And then I love the finishing stretch. And they've rerouted this course. The pros are going to start on what is actually like number 8 or something like that. Okay. But the way the finish goes, they play like number 14, which is a 120-yard par 3 where the green is just surrounded by really treacherous bunkers. So that'll be a little chip shot that'll be very interesting. Then 15's a par 5. Then 16's a par 3 that's like 100 yards longer at 215 plus. So and then 17 and 18 are both par 4s that are, 500 yards or better. So it's going to be a really cool finish, I believe. And again, I hope this weather doesn't foul things up too much and we get some easy golf course. You talk about Jeff Sherman setting the number last week at 22.5 under par, and Scotty flirts with 32. This week he set the number at 19.5, which I thought was a little high. I think if we didn't have those soft conditions, I think you'd be looking more like 16 or something like that. So he set it at 19.5, and it actually got bet to the under. It's now at 20.5. So I think people are looking at this weather and thinking, yeah, they might light this course up, but I hope it provides a really cool test.
Well, we're going to send you to the first tee box, and you can release your outrights.
All right, very good. So I'm going to start with Patrick Cantlay. And I've got a theme this week of guys that play classic courses really well, guys that have great success on bent grass, guys that have done well in the Northeast. And Patrick Cantlay checks all those boxes. Most of his wins on the PGA Tour have come on bent grass and in the Northeast. And you check both boxes here with the Memorial. Jack's Place at Muirfield Village, bent grass in the Northeast in Ohio. Caves Valley in Maryland, same thing. Oh, by the way, he was also 3rd in 2019 at Bethpage Black, the PGA Championship, another Tillinghast design. Last 24 rounds, 8th in this field for strokes gained off the tee, 7th for strokes gained approach, 9th for good drives gained, and 13th in hole proximity from 200 yards or better. So I think Cantlay makes a lot of sense here. Got him at 21-1. Hideki Matsuyama. I was looking at all these golf courses, whether it be Tillinghast or what have you, and his name was popping up on every one. And I was like, okay, there's a guy. 16th at Bethpage in 2019, 17th at Winged Foot at the 2020 U.S. Open, 15th at the Northern Trust in 2018 at Ridgewood Country Club, another Tillinghast design. 4th in 2016 at the PGA Championship at Baltusrol. So all those Tillinghast designs, he's been top 20 or better. 4th at the Country Club. You remember you were working the event in 2022. 10th at Marion in the 2013 U.S. Open, and 15th in the 2018 BMW Championship at Aronimink. So, I mean, up and down the board, all these courses we're talking about, he's right there. Number 1 in this field for scrambling, number 2 in sand saves, 18th in greens and regulation gained, and 10th in hole proximity from 175 to 200. And you look at Hideki, of course, we hit him at the beginning of the year at Kapalua, and you think he's been off the boil a little bit, but you go back to his last start where he finished 21st at Augusta, 2nd in the field that week for strokes gained approach. So the iron game has come back around for Hideki. I think he could be live this week. Keegan Bradley, Mr. Northeast himself, won the 2018 BMW Championship at Aronimink, finished 7th at the Country Club in 22, runner-up at TPC Potomac that same year, ranks top 17 in all the categories this week for iron play and work off the tee. Number 2 in this field for hole proximity from 175 to 200, and he is 6th for strokes gained tee to green. Here's another little trip down narrative street that's kind of interesting for you too. I don't know if it means anything at all, but here we are on a Tillinghast design. Keegan Bradley, the Ryder Cup captain, that Ryder Cup coming up in September of this year at where Bethpage Black, another Tillinghast design. We'll see. I don't know. Something the stars can align there for maybe. Got Bradley at 50 to 1. Justin Rose at 75 to 1. Another guy that fits our theme, Northeast, bent grass, classic courses. Look at the classic courses where Justin Rose has won before. Pebble Beach, Aronimink, Muirfield Village, and Congressional. And oh, by the way, his lone major championship, the 2013 U.S. Open at Marion, which sits about 12 miles away from where we are this week. 12th in this field for strokes gained putting on bent grass the last 24 rounds. You know, we all saw what he did at Augusta. I think Rosie just lives for this type of golf course. That's where all his success basically has been on the PGA Tour throughout his career. Got him at 75 to 1. And then finally, Will Zalatoris, whose price is all the way up into the neighborhood of 100 to 1. I got him at 93. I saw him at 97. I've seen him as low as 80. I think this is another guy that you know seems to do well. He seems to be kind of an old soul that does well on these old school golf courses, and he's been money at the correlated courses. In 2022, runner-up at both the Country Club and at Southern Hills, the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship. And then, oh, by the way, in 2020, finished 6th at Winged Foot for the U.S. Open. Again, another Tillinghast design. Last 24 rounds, 10th in this field for strokes gained approach, 26th on good drives gained, top 15 in hole proximity from 175 to 200 yards or better is Will Zalatoris. He withdrew from the Byron Nelson last week, but I don't mind that. We know this guy has had a history of some injury issues, so I don't mind him getting an extra week off here heading into this week.
Top 10, top 20s?
Yeah. A little too expensive on Cantlay and Matsuyama for the top 20. It was, you know, in the neighborhood of minus 180, something like that. So I played Cantlay and Matsuyama for a top 10. And then I played the rest of the guys, Rose and Bradley and Zalatoris for a top 20. And I've got some head-to-head matchups as well, 4 of them this week. I really like them. The matchup set up nicely for me this week. JJ Spaun at plus 105 over Ben Griffin. I see this being a lot closer to a pick'em matchup. Griffin, you know, with Spaun at plus 105, that means Griffin is plus or minus 125. I didn't feel he should have been that big of a favorite. So I like Spaun there. Both guys, great iron players. It's probably going to be a sweat, I'm sure, which most of these are, but I like plus 105, and what I figure is a closer match than that price would indicate. Harris English at minus 120 over Rasmus Højgaard. You could argue Højgaard's the better player in this pairing, but I think English is a much better suited for this golf course. You know, English is kind of a guy that's performed very well on classic tracks as well. I think he finished third at Winged Foot in that U.S. Open in 2020. Højgaard, that new kid on the block that, you know, bangs the ball. And I just don't know if he's built for this classic design here. So I like English there as a short favorite. Aaron Rye over Sam Burns. You know, Burns looked pretty good last week, but so did everybody on an incredibly easy golf course. Burns has not been in good form at all, whereas Aaron Rye, laser accurate ball striker, I think he should fare very well on this type of golf course. So I took him as a short favorite over Burns. And then again, another one where I just thought the price was too juicy. Will Zalatoris at plus 130 over Taylor Pendrith. Now, he might not win the matchup, but I don't think there's that much of a difference here between these two guys. So I thought plus 130 was off as far as the price in that matchup. So there's the 4 full tournament head-to-heads for you.
One quick closing thought or question actually to you. On the one and done, there's a name that I'm looking at. You talked for the last few weeks that you think it sets up real well next week for him. My question, how's this track set up for Viktor Hovland this week?
Yeah, you know, I came up with my 4 guys, Cantlay, Rose, Bradley, and Matsuyama. And I wanted to find that 5th guy. And, you know, Jordan Spieth is a popular selection. He played well last week. Who else was I thinking about? I thought briefly about Oberg, but I think he's better for next week. And he's a very popular selection this week as well. Shane Lowry was a guy that came across my radar. I think he makes some sense this week. Very accurate off the tee, you know, definitely a classic design type of guy. But Hovland was another guy that I thought long and hard about. Tremendous ball striker, tremendous total driving, obviously has the win recently at the Valspar. And ultimately I went with Willie Z. You know what? I don't think Justin Thomas is an awful play this week. As far as a one and done, I would expect him to do pretty well. I'm not sure what to think about Rory. I don't know if this is the best fit for him. And plus there's so much on his mind going into next week. You know, there's a lot on Thomas's plate going into next week as well, because he won here in 2017, his first major when they had the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow back in 2017. But sometimes I like to play a guy the week before because they're kind of just like, okay, they're relaxed. Okay, I've got one more week before the spotlight turns on full blast, and you know we're in the mix of it and everything. I think that mentality holds true for JT this week. I'm not so sure for Rory. I think the spotlight has been heavy on Rory ever since that final putt dropped on Sunday at Augusta a month ago. But I think JT could be flying under the radar a little bit this week, where he won't be next week.
No.
But he could be a good play, I think, for a one and done. Cantlay. You know, and you mentioned Hovland. Yeah, you know, so.
You know who's getting money the last 2 nights? And I couldn't pick this guy if I had, you know, Monday morning's newspaper. Of course, it's almost like our intro with DeChambeau. Tommy Fleetwood's attracting money.
He really is. You know, I was thinking about that last night, and I was like, okay, the course makes a lot of sense for Tommy Fleetwood. Then I went, you know what? Every course makes sense for Tommy Fleetwood. He's frickin' Tommy Fleetwood. He's darn good. And yeah, sometimes you see money come in on him. It came in on him at one point for the Masters. I was on him for the Masters as well. Not surprising to see it here. This definitely makes sense. I don't think you'll see it next week. That course, I don't necessarily expect him to pop at Quail Hollow with that course, but um, Fleetwood is hard, because he's never won on the PGA Tour, right? But yeah, I mean, the guy makes sense no matter. He's a top 10 player in the world, basically. So yeah, it's hard to go against him no matter what.
Scroller, everyone knows, of course, on Twitter, Brady, to go follow you at Las Vegas Golfer. But as we always wrap up this segment, where can they find your written work and, of course, your schedule on the Sports Grid?
Yeah, go to golf.com. My article up there. It's also on my Twitter feed at Las Vegas Golfer, but a couple of articles. Last week, we released the early PGA Championship plays that we went over. You can read more about that. Good article there. And then, of course, this week's article on the TRUIST Championship signature event. And then I'll be on Sports Grid later today, 7:30 Eastern and also 10 p.m. Eastern. And then on the weekend on both Saturday and Sunday evening with Adam Kaufman, maybe to be joined by Jeff Dawson. We'll see, talking a little baseball or hockey or what have you. But that's pretty much the schedule going forward for this week. And then second major of the year next week. Can't wait, man.
Brady, we can't thank you enough. Go enjoy yourself the rest of the day. I'll be catching up to you, watching you, of course, on the Sports Grid. Hopefully, Gabe and Cam, they can give you a couple more minutes edgewise. You seem like you're squeezing in there on those Wednesday night segments.
Well, they keep me around for 3 segments, but most of that, as I'm sure you've learned over the years, is dominated by Gabe Morency himself, and we're not opposed to that. He's a character that we don't mind, backing off and letting him take over. But it is his show after all. But no, we always have a good time.
Have a great, great day. Can't wait. Best of luck this week, and I can't wait for next week. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Brady Kannon, go follow him at Las Vegas Golfer. Make sure you check out his written work, of course, and tonight, 2 spots on the Sports Grid. Quick commercial break, and we'll wrap it up. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Good Food. At Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, you'll find the highest quality meats from a variety of delicious cuts. Tomahawks, salmon fillets, ribeyes, and plenty more to choose from. With an easy-to-use, mobile-friendly website, selecting your pick of meat is made quick and easy. And don't forget, worrying about your dinner is a thing of the past. Check out some of the amazing subscription packages that Atlanta Steaks and Seafood has to offer. Fresh steak and seafood straight to your door. Order online at atlantasteaksandseafood.com.
Oh, I love me some golf. Tee Time Wagers every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 a.m. On the Pacific. Next week, the Major PGA. Rory goes for his second major of the year. I think Scotty might have something to say about that and a few others. We shall see. Day baseball today. NHL, NBA tonight. Anyone interested in the ECSI VIP experience that is not a part of it, we have clients all over the world as we're enjoying our 10-year anniversary here of public service. Jump on over to eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Top right corner, plans and price, and scroll all the way down to the bottom. You'll see a retail price and an introductory price. $3 a day, the ECSI VIP experience. We call it a gym membership, an introduction for us to get to know you, you to know us. All our plays sent to you right to your cell phone via text and email. No timestamp. When we get the best number, we ship it out to our delivery service, and presto bango. Whether you're at work, you're at the gym, whether you're out playing golf, whatever it is, boom, it's right there for you. Again, for as little as $3 a day. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., Matthew George will be back, producer at Sports Grid. We'll be talking some NBA playoffs as the dogs are barking. The Pacers are up 2-0. Celtics look to rebound down 0-1 versus the Knicks. Warriors steal game 1 yesterday in Minnesota. Check out the injury report. Will Steph be back? And Denver, OKC, Denver up 1-0 as the Joker made a statement there. So plenty of sports to talk about there. Everyone, thank you so much for enjoying some golf, and we'll see you soon.